I'm talking with Ron Zielinger, founder and CEO of Dismas, a Catholic outreach to inmates, victims, and their families. And you can find out more at dismasministry.org. That's dismasministry.org. You were telling me during the break there's some interesting developments just in terms of what's going on with the prison systems.
I just wanted to just state too that it was so striking to me when I got up this morning and reflected on the gospel of the day, which is John 12, and then the verse 26, where it says, "Where I am, there will my servant be." And I thought of what we spoke about earlier. It's a real challenge to Catholics to ask, or to go back to those scriptural passages from Matthew 25, where is Jesus? So then we start looking for him, and it's a grace to be able to do this work, and it's not one always given to everyone, but there are different ways. People can write letters, they can pray, and if they wish to donate to a cause, that's one. But also, if they get their feet wet and go in with a mentor and see what it's like and start small, it might be something that catches fire in them, and then they become very passionate about the ministry. But it's all by degrees and what people can do. Anyway, back to the different trends, though. We have many states are struggling with their budgets, and so they're taking a look at all of the different services they provide, and one of those is incarceration. And there have been trends developing all across the country, and some are splashier. California has had a Supreme Court order to reduce its number of inmates. They have had inmates piled on top of one another in their system. They had, I believe, upwards 160 or 170,000 for a system that wasn't created for that many. So currently they're down to 135,000. And part of that movement is to take another look at how states in general handle juvenile detention or rehabilitation. And so there's a real movement or a reflection now on rehabilitation versus incarceration for juveniles especially. About a quarter of juveniles in prison are not there for violent crimes, but when they get into the system, they may become violent because the system is so overcrowded and not funded to do true rehabilitation. So you put a pile of guys together, and they're maybe not that mature already, and then, you have lots of trouble that develops. So it can be counterproductive to have that many in prison at one time. So they're looking at different alternatives, and there's a catchphrase, treatment instead of prison. So that's what they're looking at, smaller group homes, really trying to do a process that's similar to restorative justice, which involves all of the stakeholders when a crime is committed. That would be the families of the offenders, the families of the victims, or the victims themselves, that counselors become involved, so that the offender really understands the impact of their crime, and they have an opportunity then to do some restitution, whether it's community service or something directly for the victim. But always in the whole restorative justice concept, the victim is central, and the victim, so to speak, calls the shots. If they want to meet, then the ball starts rolling. If they don't want to meet with the offender, then that doesn't happen, but still the other components can, so that the offender understands the full impact of what they've done. And often that really changes the individual. Just to make another example, in Houston, they just approved a $43 million sober facility so that people who have been arrested for alcohol-related offenses will go to that facility rather than to a jail, because truly they need treatment. The whole restorative justice concept is growing across the United States. It's another way to look at how to get to the bottom of why people do what they do, and then also what the impact is on everyone else. I attended a restorative justice circle here in Wisconsin at the Columbia Prison, and an inmate can make a comment at the beginning of the process, there were no victims to my crime. And by the end of the 2-day period, they realized there was a whole swath of victims, and that really is something important for them to understand. When they have the opportunity to hear a victim, it truly can transform them. And then when they can be forgiven by the victim, that's, again, a truly transformative experience for both. It frees the offender